Like, should I really do a video like without like my little like natural filter? Like, shit is like, damn, girl. Fuck you mean? I don't think people be understanding how much like, no, I really don't care that I cuss that much. It's just like, like, people, what the fuck, yo. I was thinking, that when I do these videos, like sometimes it be planned out, like I be having stuff that I want to like talk about. But sometimes like my spirit like really be just moving me to like just do a random video like where I don't have it planned out. And in this journey that I am on, I really want to focus on moving on demand when it comes to like my spirit like telling me to do something, or like if I get the urge to like speak on something, even if it's not planned out, or it's not polished or all of that, like I don't try to focus so much on things being planned out as much as I focus on like me being led to do something, or me being called to do something, if that makes sense. So this is gonna be one of my daily check-in random videos. So I don't know, I've been thinking about a lot of things that I want to speak on. I do want to make sure that my heart is in the right place when I speak on like so-called like controversial topics and shit like that. I hate the fact that in today's world like the truth is like controversial. Like when people are speaking on like the truth about certain things, like why is the truth so controversial? Why can't I get that word out? Like, stop playing with me. And really getting to me lately is Black Death. Like, Black Death is celebrated. Like, Black Death is a form of entertainment, and it's like been hitting me hard lately. It's crazy because our music is very like influential because of like the melanin in our skin. Like the melanin in our skin is influenced by like sound frequencies. Like I've been reading up on stuff like that, and that's why music is very spiritual for Black people. And like the government and all, and like they like in the industry, like they know how powerful music is to us as Black people. That's why they push forth the agenda of violence and all of that shit. Now that's why, now don't get me wrong, like I bump some gangster shit, like I fucks with some gangster music. Like I'm a real G at heart. My heart is solid. But see, I'm mature enough to know how to balance out, what I let influence me. So like when I'm riding around Baltimore, like I'm very cautious of the music that I play in my car now. Like, because it's this energy around the city. Like, so when I'm riding around, like, I make sure that, the music in my car is like what I want to attract in my city. Like, I be really on some shit like that now. It does suck, like, when you think about it, you be like, like, damn, like, I guess this is the generation that's not gonna die from old age. Like we way past that. Like, this is not the generation that's gonna die from natural causes. And that shit be fucking me up, yo. Like, I used to be on some real, like, cold-hearted type shit. Like, when I would, like, because we were, like, Man, when I used to go to funerals, like especially like a young person funeral, like I'll never forget this boy that I used to mess with had passed. And when I looked in the casket, like, it was the first time I really looked in the casket, and I was like, you way too young to be here right now. Like his face just looked so, like, young. I was like, wow, like, you really should not be right here. So right the now. Reason behind why you're dead. Like, you're dead because you got killed over, like, some shit that could have been prevented, like some unnecessary like goofy shit, like that's what be killing me, like the unnecessary death, like the unnecessary crime. Like I always told my mother, that this is the generation that dies from unnecessary shit. I be going to funerals or wakes and stuff. Like I used to get so mad, like, and when I see like young, like when I see niggas crying and like people crying, like I used to really be on some cold hearted shit, and I would be like, yo, why the fuck is you crying? Like, why the fuck you crying? Like, you celebrating the shit that caused this person to be dead. Like you celebrating this shit. Like, so like I didn't even want to see nobody crying at funerals. Like that's how my heart was like starting to like harden. Like I was like, I don't even want to see you cry, nigga. Like why the fuck is you crying, like when you celebrate this shit? Like don't cry now. Like really be like, yo, you so tough, like you so much like of a gangster, like like if this is what comes with it, then be prepared to deal with the consequences. Like I don't like, if this is the life that you chose, like I was really on some shit like that. Like I don't want to see you crying now. Like no. But I'm not there anymore, which I'm grateful for. Like because I started, it's like a fly or something in here. I was becoming immune to it, which wasn't good. So I mean, thankfully I'm not in that space where I'm numb to it. I don't know, it's hard to say that I'm not still numb to it, because I still feel a bit immune to it. Like that's why I don't really watch the news. Like I don't really watch the news a lot. You're constantly watching the news in Baltimore. Like you have to really have the mental strength to not let that seep into your like spirit and seep into your conscious, because it's like watching the news, like you'll be scared to even walk outside. And that's why people is so tense in this city, because everybody is on defense mode and attack mode, and operating out of a belief system of lack and like greed. So like everybody just feels like somebody's trying to take something from them, or they about to lose something. Start to understand that for myself. Like when I truly understood that God is my provider. Like God is gonna supply like all my needs. Like I'm never, like I lack nothing. Like when I started to really operate out of that system, it first of all, it humbled me, but it also like calmed me down. Like I wasn't in a rush to do certain things, because I understood and have faith that God wants to supply all my needs. Something as simple as something as simple as going to the store. Like, oh, what, let me get to the store before this run out or this run out, like stuff like. And I started really like trying to shift my perspective and like manifesting that shit. Like whatever I need from the store, like it's gonna be there. Like it's gonna be there. Like, I really started having faith in, like, the simplicity of things like that. Like, whatever I need, like, it's gonna be there. Wherever, like, my destination is, or, like, whatever that I have to, like, do today, like, you know, it's gonna be provided. You know, like, it's gonna be provided for me. Like, imagine, like, just going through your day, like, everything is taken care of. Like, everything is taken care everything is taken care of. Like, everything is unfolding for you. Like, everything is going in your favor. Like, that's a boss spiritual, you know, type of place to be in. That's a God-given kingdom inheritance, damn, type of space to be in when you start operating you know, out of that belief system. I did want to talk about validation, because validation is something that has always been challenging for me, especially, like, you know, when I was a child. Like, you know, as a child, I'm gonna get this bug. As a child, you are, you know, constantly, like, seeking validation, whether that's from your parents, from your friends, from your teachers, and things like that. So it's been very interesting for me, and challenging, because it's like, when you start digging into, like, why you are the way you are, like, it can be very, like, frustrating, like, going back down memory lane, like, you know, working on your inner child. For me was understanding my spiritual validation. Like, knowing that I'm already highly favored by the Most High was big for me. You know, understanding, like, you know, my spiritual worth. It helped me to not as so much seek validation from people, or, you know, things like that. It's still something that I'm working on, but I'm so grateful to be in a space of knowing, like, my spiritual validation, like, knowing my spiritual worth. Yeah, it's very important. This spiritual shit, I'm telling you, the spiritual shit, man. The spiritual shit is just, yeah. The shit be working. If sometimes I do be repeating myself, and sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's not. But I be really wanting you to understand, like, you know, me being a witness and a living testimony that, you know, that this really does work. And I be wanting to share that. Another thing about validation when it comes to the Black community, like, anytime you a Black person and you trying to, like, elevate your community, or, like, you know, trying to get, you know, niggas to do better and be better, like, let me tell you one thing you should not expect. You should not expect validation from niggas. Because as soon as you want niggas to do better, they are going to play fucking tug of war with you. They may call you a sellout and do, like, it's like, and I remember Tupac was talking about this in an interview one time about this, and I forgot, because I don't want to mess up what he said, but it hit me, because I was like, you know what, that's so true. Like, when you really trying to help niggas, like, that's one thing you really have to, like, you really have to get, you can't, don't expect validation from niggas. Don't seek validation from niggas, and do not expect validation from niggas. Like, it's niggas, like, you be trying to elevate niggas and get them to do better, like, and they call you a sellout. Like, I'm a sellout because I want you to do better. I'm a sellout because I love you. I'm a sellout because I know that you deserve better. Like, I know that you can do better, you can be better. Yeah, I mean, you should really, you know, not seek validation from anybody. But when it comes to really like when it comes to the black community, yeah, you might as well just forget about that. When I really think that's probably the hardest part of like being a black activist, is like you have to understand like when it's time to let go. Like honestly, like you can't want more for somebody than they want for themselves. Like I know you heard that before. Like you like it is hard to, you know, accept that truth. But yeah. I mean, of course, this is not the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X generation where they gonna be receptive to that type of information. Like, you know, during that time where like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, like, you know, black people had one goal. They wanted freedom. They wanted freedom. They all had one goal. They all was on one accord. You know, this generation, yeah, that's a whole different conversation for another video. But I don't know how I got into that. That's why it's really so important for you to know your history, like to know like where you came from. Because if you really understood and really knew where you came from, like you would value life way much more. Like you would honor life, and like you would honor yourself so much more if you knew where you came from. Struggle with a lot of things in the black community, but we really struggle with not knowing our history. And I must say, in this generation, like we really struggle with accountability. Like, don't black people, niggas hate, and this is not all, because you know you gotta be careful, because you know they so sensitive. They think you're talking about all. I'm not talking about all. To the Pacific people that I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Let's not get sensitive on tonight. Why? Because we got so used to blaming everything on the white man and blaming everything on the government, to be honest. Of course, we already know that racism is real. We understand that there is a racial systematic structure in America. We all are aware of that. But when I talk about black people taking accountability, I talk about taking accountability like in the things like you have control over in your community, like how we treat one another, like how we process trauma, like how we communicate with one another, like, you know, how we care for our community, like taking accountability and things like that. Like, okay, so that was my little random rant. But anyways, in this video saying, you know, I love my black people. I love my black people. I love my niggas. I love my niggas, you know. Fuck them other niggas, because I'm down for my niggas. Like, you know, I want to elevate my niggas, you know. I want to be Lion King, you know. I want to be Lion King and niggas. Like, on some real Simba shit. Would get mad at me because he don't like when I use the word niggas. You know, he said, you know, when you use the word niggas, you taking us back, you know, 400 years, and you know, it's sinful for you to use the word niggas. But I be really having to tell him, yo, like, there are niggas out here, you know. And sometimes the word nigga is not race specific, it's not gender specific. Like, you know, I mean, nigga just means a, you know, ignorant person. Or we're not gonna get into logistics of what, you know, sometimes it's niggas out here, okay? It's just what it is. It's just niggas out here. The most judgeful generation. This is the most judgeful. What am I trying to say? This is the world we live in right now has been the most judgy. I want to say judgeful. Like, we are really like in a judgeful place. And that's what I'm trying to get out in the world. And that's why everybody takes offense to everything, because like we constantly like think somebody like judging us. Like, Everybody has a platform now to speak on things. Like, you know, everybody has a platform to speak on their opinions. And it's crazy how, you know, we take everybody's opinions to heart. Like, we take everybody's preference to heart. Like, if it's not something that you agree with, then it's just as simple that, you know, I don't agree. It's like, you know, it's not an attack. You know, I'm getting to a space where I'm starting to be comfortable with, you know, people not agreeing with me. Like, I'm in a space where it's like, you know, I don't feel the need to debate about everything. Like, you know, if that's something that you agree with, like, that's cool. Like, I just don't agree. Like, I'm not in the business of, like, changing people's minds. Like, I'm not in the business of forcing somebody to believe what I believe, or forcing somebody to agree with what I agree with. Like, it's just simply, it is what it is. Like, to say, stay true to who you are. Like, whatever is working for you, I mean, as long as you have good intention, like, you're not harming anyone, you know, you're not harming, you know, the planet, the universe, like, and you got good intention, like, if it works for you, then it works for you. Like, keep doing that shit. Like, don't fold on who you are. Don't fold on what you have faith in. Don't fold on or try to correct something, you know, just because it works for somebody else, or just because, you know, you feel like, you know, somebody is telling you, yo, you should or you shouldn't, or you should have did this or you should do that, or, you know, that's not how you should do it. Like, no, fuck all that shit. Like, if it works for me, like, I'm gonna continue doing what works for me. It's okay. We all fall short. We all fall short. You know, just, you know, give yourself some grace. And, you know, just remember who the fuck you are. Remember that. It's getting lower. Okay, yeah. Thank you all for supporting me. As you can see, I don't be editing most of my videos. Like, I'm gonna get on my editing wave soon. But for the most part, this is just raw, uncut, you know, go with the flow. It's like, no, but I really do thank you all for supporting me and watching me. I pray that you have a prosperous week. Peace.